drooled on the chief's paperwork, and he pooped in the chief's office. Squish, dog man! So anyway, Dogman, you are an awesome cop, but you're a bad doggy. You better be a good boy, or you'll be in the doghouse. Dogman promised to be good, but bad days were on the way. The next day, Kinney, I sentence you to jail for being evil. Rats! So Dogman escorted Kinney to Cat Jail. But then, hey, look at what I found. It's a ball. Dogman couldn't resist his favorite toy.
That's cute.
Who wants a ball? Who wants a ball? Doggy want a ball? Dogman got crazier and crazier and crazier until, ready? Go get it! Dogman found the ball, but when he came back, he was gone. Later, bad boy, Dogman! Bad!
That's funny.
You're suspended until further notice. Dogman handed over his badge and his ID. Then he went to his doghouse and broken hearted. That night, Dogman all the world is mine. And Dogman can't stop me, for he will always be just a dog. There's a little bit of flipper there, and I don't think this is going to work, so we'll try to go real fast. Can we do the other scene? Okay, there's one. Okay. Dreaming Kinney tied Dogman to a long rubber band. From now on, you're the ball, and I'm the paddle.
This is like creepy.
Sorry, this doesn't work so well. Okay, like that. Okay. Oh, okay, stop. Dogman awoke from his dream, feeling terrible. He knew that Petey was out there somewhere, but what could he do? Dogman went into his doghouse and started digging a hole. Dogman digged and digged and digged. Then he went shopping. Beep, 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 beep. Dogman spent his money on mysterious things. And he worked and worked all night long. The next day, boy, Dogman sure is lazy. I'll say all he does is sleeps. But then, boom! Let's run away to the city that attacks. Okay. They were right for that very moment. Kinney was attacking. Did you miss me? Kinney had built himself a giant robo spider suit. Hey, Chief, Spider Petey's attacking, and all the cops got scared and ran away. Oh, well, at least I have you. Adios, muchachos. Rats, I guess I'll have to stop Spider Petey all by myself. Cut it off, the name of the law. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Hey. You're mine now, bub. Rats, who will save me? Man. The dogmobile up here.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
The Bark Knights speeded to town to save the chief. But would he get there in time? Yep, he got there in time. Spider Petey aimed his butt at the Bark Knight. Then he sprayed a web. The Bark Knight was stuck. So he pressed a secret button. And a propeller popped up. It spun around. And the Bark Knight flies out of the web. So, Oh, you escaped, eh? I'll show you. I'm gonna tip this hospital over. But before I do, who wants a ball? Oh, okay, that's the introduction. So you gotta check out this part. The main character, like that, when your best friend gets a girlfriend, it really changes everything. So here's Greg in his new reality. With Rowley is drifting away with a girl, you know? And Greg really liked it in the good old days when it was just him and Rowley, and if they went to blow bubbles in their chocolate milk at, lunch, that's exactly what they do. And now that there's a girl in the picture, everything's completely changed. So here's a look at his new life, right? Everything changes, right? And Greg doesn't want to sit with Rowley because he would have to suffer through watching Abigail feed him his pudding every day at lunch. And he doesn't want to have to do that. So Greg decides it's time to officially get a new best friend. And so, of course, the only person that he can think to turn to is his neighbor, Gregley. Yes, I heard someone say it. Right? So Greg decides to train Gregley to be a new best friend and to take everything he liked from Rowley and make Gregley take that and get rid of the bad stuff. So things don't work out exactly as Greg had hoped. And so you'll have to read the book to find out what happens next. But these guys that I'm with today, I'm telling you, each one of them can really draw. And that was always my problem. I couldn't draw, so I had to work within my own limitations. So they use pen and ink, and they just fly. When they draw a picture, they can just fly. Everything looks great.
Chapter 1, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's get the boring stuff out of the way. My name is Failure, Timmy Failure, and I look like this. My name was once Failure. F-A-Y-L-E, we missed it, okay. F-A-Y-L-E-U-R-E, but somebody changed it, and now it is spelled as you see. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of the detective agency I've named for myself, Failure Inc. Failure Inc. is the best detective agency in the town, probably the state, perhaps the nation. All of the drawings in here are by me. I tried to get my business partner to do the illustrations, but they were not good. For example, here is this depiction of me. But success did not come overnight for me. I had to overcome obstacles such as these. 1, my mother. 2, my school. 3, my idiot best friend. And 4, my polar bear. And yes, I'm sure you have the same question everyone else does when I list these obstacles. Why am I best friends with an idiot? I'll get to it later. Oh, and I suppose I should say a word about that 1,500-pound polar bear. His name is Total. Total's Arctic home is melting, so we wandered for food and found our captive. Initially, Total displayed a fair degree of diligence and reliability, and thus I agreed to make him a partner in my agency. As it turned out, the diligence and reliability were a ruse. Something polar bears do, and I don't want to talk about it. I also want to discuss the change I agreed to make to the name of the agency, the agency, which now reads like this in our Yellow Pages ad. And now I have to go because the TV line is ringing. Chapter 2, the candy man can't because he's missing all his chocolate. The call is from Gunner, classmate, neighbor, and now just another guy missing his Halloween candy. I get a lot of candy cases. They're not headline grabbing, but they pay cash money. So I wake up my partner and I hop on the Failure Mobile. I should say a word about the Failure Mobile. It's not actually called a Failure Mobile. It's called a Segway that belongs to my mother. She won it in a raffle. She has set forth some restrictions on when and how I can use it. I thought that was vague, so I use it. So far, she hasn't objected, mostly because she does not know. That touches upon one of the founding principles of Total Failure Inc., which I have memorialized in ink on the sole of my left shoe. The only complaint I have about the Failure Mobile is its speed. If I write it somewhere while Total walks, Total gets there first. So it isn't any surprise to me that when I get to Gunner's house, Total is already there, doing something that he frequently does when he beats me to a house. I've lectured Total so many times on eating garbage from clients' trash cans that I now believe he is purposely sabotaging the agency. Fortunately for me, by the time I knock on Gunner's door, Total is finished eating everything edible from the trash cans and is able to stand next to me on the porch. Gunner answers the door and escorts us to the scene of the crime. He points to an empty table by his bed. My plastic pumpkin filled with candy is right there, he says, while pointing at the tabletop. Now it's gone. I look at the tabletop. I can tell from the empty space that the plastic pumpkin is gone. He starts listing the candy he had in the pumpkin. 2 Mars bars, a Twix, 7 Three Musketeers, 5 Kit Kats, 11 Almond Joys, 5 Snickers, an Apple Zaba, and 8 Hershey's Kisses. Gunner looks up at me. Getting all this down? Of course I'm getting it down. Let's start with the basics. I tell the client, like payment. I take cash, checks, and credit cards. I don't actually take credit cards, but it sounds professional, so I say it. How much will it cost? Asks the client. $4 a day, plus expenses. Expenses? Asks Gunner. Chicken nuggets for the big man, I say, pointing up at Total. Total roars, which looks intimidating, until he falls backwards and crushes Gunner's desk. That, I know, will be coming out of his chicken nuggets. I tell Gunner that I anticipate a 6-week investigation, lots of witnesses, maybe some air travel. I'll show myself out, I tell him. As I walk down the hall, I pass his brother Gabe's room. Gabe is sitting on his bed, surrounded by candy wrappers. There is chocolate smeared all over his face, and an empty plastic pumpkin on the floor. Always on the lookout for clues, I make an important note in my detective log. So in addition to these guys, in the first couple chapters of Timmy, the book is also filled with a bunch of other equally strange people. There is Timmy's teacher, Old Man Crocus. Crocus is 187 years old. He smells and is bent over like he has a sack of potatoes hanging from his forehead. And Timmy's poor performance in school is a constant headache for Crocus. For example, Timmy knows nothing about history, but he does know that the most common last name in the world is Chang. So when he got this question on the history test, I figured he'd play the odds and just answer. And there's Timmy's rather large friend, the aptly named Rolo Tukas. And Timmy's arch rival and fellow detective, Karina, a little girl who he so dislikes that he refuses to show her face. And then last but not least, there is Timmy's shy and bookish librarian Flo, who looks like this. That's Timmy Failure Mistakes We Made. Thank you very much.
Sometimes kids don't always enjoy hearing this advice. But I always tell young cartoonists to practice their writing. Because if you're a great drawer, that's great. But if you can't tell a good story, the beautiful drawings just bore people after a while. There's got to be a good story. And then, kids really don't like hearing this, but when you're a cartoonist, you've got to have neat handwriting. So I tell kids, practice your handwriting.
Neat handwriting.
No, but really, this is the course. Is turn off the video games and the DVD. Entertainment is so good, for kids. Like you can just get lost and watch TV and play video games, but not many people are going to just create something. So there's a great opportunity. You can then shut that stuff off. Put something new.
I would say writing is no different than any other skill. If you were working out to get muscular, you want to skip workouts, and when you write, you have to write on almost a daily basis, and you have to be disciplined about it. And just like anything else you do, you get better as you do it. And what we do really comes down to writing. There are tons of people who graduate from art school every year, and I know very little about art. And I've learned that it just comes down to your ability to write fun. So that's
It's definitely said what I was going to say.
oh.
But seriously, if you want to do you want to get good at writing and drawing, it's like a skill. You have to work on it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Let's give them one round of applause.
Thank you very much.